Welcome, race fans. This is Fan for Racing Sharon, and welcome to Hot Topics Sound Off. We had a sweep, a repeat, and a return this weekend, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. North Wilkesboro gave us exactly what the fans hoped for, a full weekend celebrating grassroots racing, NASCAR's present and its future. We'll break down Kaden Honeycutt making history by sweeping both zMAX Car Tours races, Chandler Smith's dominant Truck Series victory, and Joey Logano ending a long winless streak in his first Cup points race at North Wilkesboro in 3 decades. Plus, who gained momentum, who missed an opportunity, and what does this weekend tell us about the second half of the NASCAR season? Okay, it's time, so let's sound off. Welcome, everybody, and I see our chat room is busy. Jay is back, and Reid is here.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Had some fun time in the state below North Wilkesboro in South Carolina. So that was a good little vacation. But I did get to see some racing down at Dillon Motor Speedway, and
nice.
Yeah, that was some fun racing. I didn't get to see the late models in the car store, but I saw some late models down in Dillon. So there you go.
All right, we do have a poll up today, and it's over at fanforracing.com. If you haven't already participated, Jamie says that he has, so we thank him for that. Head on over to fanforracing.com and you'll see our North Wilkesboro poll up there. We basically want to know what you felt was the most exciting. What was the most exciting part of the weekend for you? Was it Kaden Honeycutt's sweep? Was it the win, the repeat win by Chandler Smith? Or was it the return to North Wilkesboro and Joey Logano dominating? Or was there someone else that caught your interest and impressed you more? If it was someone else, let us know in the comment section who that was and why. So definitely looking forward to everybody participating. Jay, we're glad to have you back.
Well, the body is here. I'll just say that. And I guess maybe my the wear down of the week was because I didn't get to hear that intro music anywhere else I went. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. And Reid, that was pretty exciting, your weekend. So
Yeah.
I hope we hear more about that. Okay. Jamie says Joey is now the 22nd winningest Cup Series driver. He was 23rd. He's now 22nd. So again, I agree with you, Reid. No shortage of impressive moments at North Wilkesboro this weekend. So I'm going to bring up our agenda here for today so that you can see what we're planning to cover. We're going to do something a little bit different than what we've done before. A little bit the same, but a little bit different too. And so I'm going to bring up our agenda here. Can you read that, or do I need to make that bigger?
Probably need to expand it just a little bit.
Okay. So let's try this.
There we go.
Okay. The zMAX Car Tour doubleheader. The storyline is Honeycutt sweeps both races. We'll ask just how impressive was the sweep. Did Honeycutt remind everyone why he's one of the country's best short track racers? And should we expect more crossover opportunities? Storyline number 2, the Cars Tour shines again. It was a huge crowd. There was a lot of involvement. and short track racing is thriving. Is the Cars Tour becoming the new premier proving ground for the future NASCAR stars? In segment 2, we'll talk about the Truck Series race. Chandler Smith repeats at North Wilkesboro. It's the second straight North Wilkesboro win for him. We'll cover the results and the standings. Does this make him one of the Truck Series favorites? I think I just jumped there. And we'll talk about the championship implications. Front Row Motorsports keeps rolling. Another huge statement. How dangerous are they entering the chase this coming fall? And the short track racing rewards discipline. Who impressed besides the winner? And then segment 3 will be the NASCAR Cup Series. We'll talk about Joey Logano is back. He had a 45 race winless streak that ended this weekend. We'll cover the results and the point standings. Did Team Penske just wake up? What are the championship implications there? North Wilkesboro proves that it belongs. It's the first Cup race there, points race there in 30 years. Should this become a permanent summer stop? Who leaves Wilkesboro with confidence? Who leaves frustrated? Was this NASCAR's best short track race of 26? We'll compare it to Bristol, Martinsville, and Wilkesboro. Which one delivered, the best racing? And then our final segment are the winners and the losers. The biggest winner, maybe Joey Logano. Biggest surprise, Kaden Honeycutt. Biggest statement, Chandler Smith. Those are just examples. You might have something different. And the biggest question is who's carrying the most momentum into next weekend? And then I've got some additional hot topics here. We may or may not cover these. They're not in any particular order, but Lane Riggs has an uncertain future for 27. Joe Gibbs Racing had 3 drivers in the top 5 this week. Shane Van Gisbergen's run at North Wilkesboro, the in-season challenge and Taz's in-season tournament, Elliott Sadler in the 25 Ram truck at Richmond. Top HMS car finished P12, 2 laps down. Kyle Larson versus Connor Zilic and Alex Bowman heading to pit road. What the heck was he thinking? And we've got our fan poll that we hope everybody participates in. So that's our agenda here for tonight. And let's start in segment 1, talking about the zMAX tour. And how impressive was that sweep? Did you get a chance to see it, Jay?
No, I didn't get to watch it. I'm kind of like Reid. I caught the highlights. Is it a surprise? No. We know what kind of talent Kaden Honeycutt has, and he's showing it now at the truck level. So for him to go back, yeah, it still takes some work. I mean, you can't just go back. I know, you look at Connor Zilic going back into the O'Reilly, that what he had when he was running there full-time last year was very magical and unbelievable. You notice it's not the same this year. So anytime you're doing part-time, you still got to work for it, but it's not a huge surprise. But I think there's also some very talented ones down there that had they beat Kaden Honeycutt, that wouldn't have surprised me either.
Oh, okay. Reid, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was very impressive. The narrative this year, especially in the Truck Series, is Kaden Honeycutt able to kind of live up to what Corey Heim did in the 11 truck? And while I feel like most people had their expectations tempered because Corey Heim really is just that amazing, he beat Corey Heim straight up, and I think it shows that when you level the playing ground a little bit, he can definitely put on a respectable performance. And both of those zMAX races were just like particularly loaded with some immense talent. So I thought it was an impressive performance for sure.
Yeah, it really was loaded with some big talent. You had drivers from the Truck Series all racing in there. Stuart Friesen was in that race. You mentioned Corey Heim being in that race. And there's some others. I can't even remember all of them. Do you remember everybody that came over from the Truck Series?
Landon Lewis. I know we had Luke Baldwin. He was up there in
Yes.
the second race for most of them, running a part-time schedule with Team Rayum. And Andres Perez, I'm looking at the list here, Minnie Tyrell, Jesse Love was racing in it too.
Yes.
So
Yes. So
yeah, a lot,
he
such
was
an
up against
insane
some.
field.
It was an insane field. I did get a chance to watch it over on Flow Racing, and I loved the fact that they showed Kaden Honeycutt coming up on the elevator
Yeah.
up to Victory Lane. That's something that's very unique to North Wilkesboro. So the fact that they showed that, I thought was fantastic. I don't remember seeing that in the Truck Series or even the Cup Series. So I'm glad I watched the Cars Tour so that I could see them doing that. A very exciting race, I thought, for both of them. And you're right, he was up against some very tough competition.
And this goes back to what we talk about with the O'Reilly all the time, or any other series. When these drivers do come over, and I won't say necessarily down, but over to another series like this, return to a local home track, I mean, that's something, even if you don't ever get anywhere, you raced against them. If you happen to beat them or finish better than them, I mean, that tells you where you're at, and you can learn so much, as the drivers will say. I know it's a different topic when you ask the fans, but the drivers say they are absolutely thrilled with it and learn so much, even if it is just being in the garage and talking to these other drivers, that how much they pick up from that.
Yes, I think there's a lot to be picked up. But Reid, anything else you wanted to say there?
I really enjoyed seeing the slight differences in the racing just between the different kind of late models between the races, and see how Kaden Honeycutt was able to adapt. Because with the late model with the LMSC cars and then the PLM cars, you kind of get two different, very, very slight different styles of racing, but different nonetheless. And it was cool to watch. I didn't watch the full races, but I thought it was really cool just seeing Kaden Honeycutt be able to, the first race was a bit more dominant. The second one, he had to work a little bit more on execution, but I think that's also great experience for him. I think drivers just need to constantly work on execution.
Absolutely. And this is a question for everybody, including those that are in the chat room. I want to ask, should we expect more crossover opportunities where the Cars Tour is racing alongside, say, the Truck Series like they did this weekend, allowing the Truck Series to participate in the Cars Tour? Should we do more of that, Jay?
I definitely think, like I said, there's big benefits to it on multi-levels from the promotion side. I remember seeing Ron Hornaday and Michael Waltrip at a track up in Minnesota, so from the promotion side, absolutely, if the opportunity is there. I know Sodders always went back to Slinger when they had the opportunity. That's their home track. That name was built there. So I think it is huge. We see it with Kevin and Keelan Harvick doing it on the West Coast. Any opportunity you have where you can draw like it has, and I know that's one of the down the line here topics, it generates the fan interest. And then, like I said, what it does for the sport, for the drivers, to build their confidence, both those that are returning as well as those they're racing against, I see benefit all the way around.
What about you, Reid?
I definitely see benefit, just like you said, benefit all the way around. It's great for media. It's great for the broadcast. It's great for the track itself and getting attendance. And it's just a lot more fun when you got more experience like that, paired with some less experienced guys trying to go up against some of the best. I think it really layers up and stacks into some really good racing in general. And I think it's very good for the growth of, just regional short track racing in general. It's really, broadcast wise, it's really it's in a very good spot right now. Non-broadcast wise, I don't think it is, and that's why I want more races like this, to maybe help save a lot of these short tracks, which I think we might talk about here in a second.
Oh, okay. I agree. I love the ARCA Menard series, and I don't want to see that go away. But the competition, especially on the east side, has not been up to par. And so I really think there's some disparity there, I think, in the ARCA Menard series. When you've got a team like Joe Gibbs Racing that's coming into the ARCA Menard series, and whoever's in that car tends to win. Now, they have been beaten, but it doesn't happen as often as it should. So I would love to see the Cars Tour be a feeder series into NASCAR's top series. And so I would like to see more companion events. I think it would be good for the Cars Tour. I think it would be good for NASCAR. And I would love to see more.
Absolutely. I think I just seeing, if we just look at the short snapshot of the North Wilkesboro race and compare it to some of the ARCA East or ARCA West Series races that we've seen, the competition there seemed way more exciting and promising than what we've seen out of that. And that's not meant to be like a detriment to the ARCA Menard series, but in the Cars Tour, you've got guys like Josh Berry. He came up through there. Same with Todd Gilliland, Carson Quapple, Corey Heim, who's generational, and Brendan Queen, who's doing pretty good in the Truck Series right now. So I think, I don't know, the success rate is pretty high on for the Cars Tour.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, Jay.
I think they both have their place. As you go though from the regional, if you don't go through the ARCA Menards in your initial steps on some of the bigger tracks, Reid mentioned a couple. Brendan Queen still did that to get his feet wet on the bigger tracks.
Of course, yeah.
And obviously, there's a difference between the late model and the ARCA. I think the ARCA pairs up with the O'Reilly and Cup a little bit better. I know not as much as they used to in the past. You used to be able to take an ARCA car, and if the field was short, jump into an O'Reilly or a Cup race, or vice versa. That's not the case anymore. But I think they each still have their level of importance. The key factor, and Sharon, I think you hit on this, is when it comes to the ARCA Menard series, there are a select few teams that have the team and financial backing. And so we don't see as many, the variety there as far as competitive teams. Whereas on the late model side, I think you kind of do a little bit more so.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I do feel as though you're right. We have seen some stars already come up through the Cars Tour into NASCAR's top three. The other thing that I wanted to bring attention to is that the Cars Tour really was put on a spotlight this weekend with the Truck Series and the Cup Series coming into town. They had a very huge crowd. They had national attention, even though it wasn't televised nationally. If you have the Flow Racing, you were able to watch it. But a lot of people knew that the Cars Tour was there this weekend. We had people from NASCAR's top three coming into the series to race. And why this series, I can see why the series does continue to produce some very top talent, and including in the Cup Series. You mentioned Josh Berry and Brendan Queen in the Truck Series, and Landon Lewis. All these drivers are drivers that have come up through there. So is the Cars Tour becoming the premier proving ground for the future of NASCAR stars? I think it is. You've got some big names behind it with Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick. Now they brought in Speedway Motorsports is now a partner in the Cars Tour series, the zMAX Cars Tours. So there's some big names behind this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think it is the premier series for kind of to feed into the Truck Series or Riley Series, but it is a premier series. It's I think the partnership with SMI right now is also going to help a lot, because SMI let's be real, they have so much money. I think that collaboration is going to help a lot and I'm excited to see, how it continues to grow in the future.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to count on any one alone for one, because each one is a little bit different. And if you will, a step, and here's where I do have to kind of use the step up. I know some of them you could say it's kind of a lateral step, but it's still progression. Think about the Legends cars. There's a lot of them that came through those Legend cars, Joey Logano, David Reagan, but that alone isn't going to get it done. The late model series, it shows you're good on short tracks, and talent of some sort give you the opportunity to expand. But just like if you have a road racing ace, and I'm going to use SVG, he's having to improve on ovals, which he's doing. We'll get to that later, but you can't just come with one type of background and expect to step in and win at the cup level. So I think these others like ARCA, the East-West, and then the Trucks or O'Reilly, are still very important. But I think that's where you can get your name out there and display the talent. Talk about drivers going back to Benny Parsons, finding Greg Biffle, and I don't know what series he was racing, but just seeing them and the talent they have, and say, hey, let's take a look at this and see what develops.
And I did want to ask, getting back to the racing here, who were the drivers that stood out to you? I know you didn't actually get to see the race, but in the highlights that you watched and whatever, anything that you caught from the Cars Tour, were there any drivers that stood out to you, Reid?
I liked so I know in the second race, I really like Luke Baldwin. I really know he didn't get the win, but Luke Baldwin, he's been kind of criticized a little bit in the Truck Series and O'Reilly Series and some of the starts that he's made. He started on pole. It shows that I agree. I think Luke Baldwin has the pace to contend. It's just the racecraft I think he needs to improve on, make some mistakes we saw in the Truck Series at North Wilkesboro. But I think Luke Baldwin has legit talent and some speed that I liked watching in those highlights. And I think Luke Baldwin just needs to improve on that, because I really do think he's got pace.
Okay. Jay, did you see anything?
Not specifically from this weekend, but I know the Cavapos have come through there. So like I said, I think it has its place. I don't know, is that where Landon Lewis came from as well? Because he's another one that, see where he takes it as he develops into this next level, as he is now eligible to be full-time. And there again, I think that has its role in when you talk about the age restriction on NASCAR's top three. So, he's a country music star. That
I'm thinking he's related to
Tommy. Isn't that Tommy's boy?
Tommy Baldwin. Yes, yeah. Tommy Baldwin.
And there too, Riggs, I don't know where he came from, but that's what you see a lot of that first step, whether it be a dirt track modified or the late models. Normally, once if you come from the asphalt background, you have a little bit of an edge, but we have seen some dirt trackers come through and get in, sprint car drivers, but we've also seen some that don't. And that's why I think every one of these different series is important and vital to the overall. Going back to what something Reid said as far as the coverage, that one I kind of struggle with, because as you get streaming platform or television coverage, you also want the tracks to survive, which means they need people at the track. So having some throughout the year covered, but not all of them, it engages you. You get interested, and you're like, hey, there's a race, not real far from me. I'm going to go watch one that's not being covered.
Yeah. I'm just glad that SMI is going to be a part of that organization. I think that is kind of a prediction of what we can expect in the future. I think that there will be some matching up with some NASCAR events in the future. At least that's my hope with them coming into the partnership in this Cars Tour, the zMAX Cars Tour. Okay.
Again, I definitely see the benefit, because there are then drivers whether it be a driver themselves, like we see Jeff Gordon talks about seeing William Byron, or Benny Parsons seeing Greg Biffle, that opportunity. You know, we talk about just like when the ARCA Menard Series pairs up with them, that's more eyes on them. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a huge benefit to that.
Well, they drew a big crowd, so even at the track, as well as people tuning in to see what that was going to happen. And I thought Stuart Friesen had a good showing in that event too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on now to the Truck Series. We've got several storylines here. It was the second straight Wilkesboro win for Chandler Smith. He was our repeat guy, and I want to cover the race results here. So I'm going to bring that up real quick. I thought I had it here. The race results for the NASCAR Truck Series. Bear with me as I navigate between screens here to bring this up.
We are bearing for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Am I supposed to act like a bear? Go, ah. Okay. All right, sorry.
Maybe. No, it's okay. No, I thought it was charming.
Okay, Reid, do you want to cover the race results here?
Of course. Coming home with the win is the Front Row Motorsports number 38 of Chandler Smith, who comes home with the largest margin of victory on a short track in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series history, which honestly really surprised me. He beats Lane Riggs, coming home in second place, his teammate, by 8.479 seconds. So made history on Saturday. So very interesting. I thought it was a great performance. But anyways, Shane Van Gisbergen.
73 points he earned.
Yeah, and the fastest lap.
Yes.
Anyways, Shane Van Gisbergen had a very impressive showing. Didn't have the best qualifying effort, made his way up to third. Good for him. Christian Neckes ran top 5 around all day, comes home fourth. Landon Lewis, he came on strong late, gets a great top 5 for him. Very impressive showing. Gio Ruggiero was in contention for the win last year. He finished 6th. Chase Elliott, I was a little surprised by his pace. He comes home 7th. Stuart Friesen in 8th. Good run for that Hallmark Friesen team. Corey Heim in 9th. Not as much in contention as you would think. And Ty Majeski, who won stage 2, finishes 10th.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Corey Heim finished in 9th place. I was expecting him to win this race and kind of outshine everybody else, but that didn't happen this time around. Jay, any thoughts here?
Yeah, well, I look back to when Chandler Smith first came back to the Truck Series after the O'Reilly deal kind of came apart. He was my championship pick, not just race winning pick, but championship pick. And I know he started out the season strong. He had the penalty, kind of fell in a rut even while his teammate exploded. So I'm happy to see him back up there. I want to see that consistency. But just there in those top 10 that Reid read, some very big storylines. Lane Riggs still doing what he's doing, but Landon Lewis, and I believe now he is eligible to go full-time the rest of the year. I'm going to mark where he's at in points now and watch where he gets to by the end of the year, because I think back to previous years. Corey Heim being so dominant, Lane Riggs kind of got overshadowed. This year you got Riggs and Honeycutt. I think Gio Ruggiero is kind of getting overshadowed because he's not getting the wins week in and week out. So I think the next generation or the next year superstar is being determined now, but you got to look for it underneath whoever's dominating.
Yeah. And I actually want to expand there on Landon Lewis. He drives for Nice Motorsports, and pretty consistently, Nice Motorsports is kind of a mid-pack team. However, there have been some notable exceptions the past few years. Carson Hocevar and Ross Chastain. And then last year when Honeycutt had to fill in, he was great. And not to fill in, but before he got kind of that weird situation, he was pretty solid in that ride. And I think those are notable exceptions that kind of show the talent level of a driver. And Landon Lewis, he has like not many truck starts in his career, and he's already finishing top 5 on short tracks. So very impressive for him. I see a lot of potential just from that run.
Jamie Schweitzer says, I think the Craftsman Trucks races should be run at tracks NASCAR is planning on expanding to or returning to, like Hickory Motor Speedway. Well, what are your thoughts about that idea?
That goes back to how the series originally started. That was what they were doing. They were standalone events. Unfortunately, again, due to budgets and whatnot, when you pair them up with the O'Reilly or the Cup Series, some of these Cup drivers make deals where they come over, and that helps the team. I would love to see that in an ultimate fantasy world. That is, like I said, go back to when they started. That was how they started this series. It just wasn't sustainable, unfortunately, which is, though, why you got the regional series, such as the Cars Tour and the ARCA. They go to a few different areas. So, again, each one of them has their place. Absolutely, South Boston. I'd love everybody to run at South Boston.
Reid, your thoughts?
I just said I'd love to see a Truck Series race at South Boston, but I like the idea. It's been expressed by many NASCAR fans lately, but people love the idea of turning the Truck Series into kind of a grassroots short track series. I think the Truck Series is in a great place right now. I don't think they necessarily need to run all the intermediates that the Cup Series and O'Reilly Series do currently, although it is nice because the racing there is pretty great. But I don't see any issues with them going to Hickory, maybe Berlin. Berlin is not, like, right now, probably couldn't handle. It doesn't have a fully functional NASCAR style pit road. So that's the issue with a lot of these short tracks, is that you have to do a lot of renovation. Many of them have less than 10,000 seats, which is kind of the minimum that NASCAR looks at having any national series races. But I think Hickory Motor Speedway is probably the most likely. People mentioned Five Flags. Love to see it, but budget wise, all of these short tracks for lower series are very hard to do.
Yeah, you guys bring up a point. It's just not sustainable. If you recall, when the Truck Series does race on their own, separate from the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, a lot of times they have to do a modified pit stop because so many of their crew members are coming from the O'Reilly Series, and they can't be in both places. So they end up modifying the pit stops. So, yeah, I like the idea. I just don't know how sustainable it is to the point that both of you guys made. It's a nice idea. I really thought Stuart Friesen ended up, his experience in Friday night's races, I think helped him in Saturday night's race. So I was happy about that. Moving on here, though, with
that real quick, Sharon, I go back to I was a season ticket holder for the O'Reilly and Truck Series at Memphis Motorsports Park when they did, and they paired with what was then the K&N. Yes, I'm old. K&N Series East. Got to see him meet Todd Gillen, Harrison Burton, but that may be where then the Cars Tour comes in and pair up with them on these standalone from Cup, but pair up with the late models, because there again you would get that same type of environment. And there too, it was done for the fans in some aspects of package deal. You get 2 or 3 races for a weekend or one day. So there's good and bad. Unfortunately, as fans, this is what we'd like. But if anybody wants to step up and pay the bills, I'm sure NASCAR would look at it.
Come on, Dale Jr. Let's see if
let's see if Junior can't do it all. Yeah, Junior can't do it all.
I don't know about that. He can. I think he can.
Well, I'll tell. I've got more to talk about with Dale Jr. a little bit later, but if it wasn't for Dale Jr., let me just start with this and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
North Wilkesboro would not be active and running today. So he's a big part of this.
I think we forget how much Dale Jr. has done for this sport. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. But with Chandler Smith winning, does that make him a championship favorite now, Jay?
Ooh, favorite's a strong word. I think if he can stay consistent, he's back in contention. If I'm going to use the word favorite, it's probably going to still be the two of Honeycutt and Riggs. However, I don't know that. Let's see where he's at, 126 back. Certainly a contender. And again, it depends on if he can stay on the hot streak and whether or not Honeycutt and Riggs can maintain. Like I said, I think Gio Ruggiero is another one. Once he knocks down a win or two, is going to be all of a sudden be like right there with them. And then you got Christian Eckes in the middle. Those are the ones that have had the most consistent. I know we got Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, Grant Enfinger, and Stuart Friesen, your other chase contenders at this point. Can they get a win here and there? Yeah. Have we seen them be consistent and running top 3 to 5 every week? No, we haven't. That's why these 2, 3 are up front like they are. So, yeah, I think he's definitely a little more back in the conversation. The favorite, I think you're down to 2.
Looking ahead to our upcoming tracks, what do you think? Is he put his name into the conversation, Reid?
Yeah, I'm looking at a schedule right here, and I think absolutely. Front Row Motorsports in these trucks so far this year have shown that their best speed is on the short tracks. Take away that win at Daytona, Chandler Smith was actually very close to beating Christopher Bell at Bristol. He came on really strong there at the end. And I'm actually going to play a little bit of devil advocate. Jay, I think Chandler Smith, I would consider him a championship contender because we talk about how chaotic the championship for elimination style playoff format was. But even then, the chase format still allows for chaos to happen. And a guy like Chandler Smith, I can definitely see just stack up some really good points. Something I wouldn't be surprised if something bad happened to Kaden Honeycutt, because I feel like he sometimes gets involved in some accidents. And I think to last year, kind of a niche example, William Byron in the Cup Series, he kind of stumbled into the playoffs a little bit, and people were kind of shooing him out to even contend for the round of 8. And he just put together a great playoffs, great style, and he made the championship 4. And I think that's something we could see out of Chandler Smith. I don't know about Christian Eckes, however, because there has not been a ton of race winning speed outside of Bristol, but we'll have to see. These short tracks will be very important for a lot of guys.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's certainly within the realm. And like I said, that's what I expected as soon as he came back. But I'm also looking at this year. And like I said, he didn't fall completely off the map. Like, unfortunately, I got to use Ty Majeski. What based on years past, where is Ty? Ben Rhodes and Grant Enfinger, So you're right. And it may be, Sharon and I talk about this a lot. Are you peaking at the right time? Did you peak too early and use up everything you got? You get so far ahead, you're kind of cruising, and now everybody else is catching up. So, and I think that with what NASCAR did, going back to the chase format, I think is good. I was okay with the win and you're in, move on. I didn't like the one race champion take all. So I was okay with them adjusting that. I would have went to like 3 or 4 races. They went to a full 10. I'm okay with that. But I do think that displays versus the year long, you really could have somebody fully run away with it. This will at least reset it to a certain degree and add some excitement back into that last 10. And yeah, we'll have to see who's on top of their game. There again, you talked about somebody that you used William Byron. My thought was Joey Logano. He wasn't even in, got in on the disqualification, came out and whooped him, But we've also seen the ones that were winning up until the chase, such as, unfortunately, Kevin Harvick. where'd you show up? He didn't show up in the playoffs, you know. So we could see that, like you said, if Honeycutt hits a rough stretch now, or Tyler Reddick, you know, it's all over.
It's very, very hard to carry momentum for an entire season. It's going to peak and valley for anybody. And so if he starts peaking now, heading into the chase, I think that he could make up some ground here over these next few races. So there's not that many races left in the Truck Series before their chase begins. So we'll see what happens over these next few races. But Jay, do you want to cover the points report here?
All right, I kind of did just as that's race results. As we were talking about that, but you got Lane Riggs still has a 59-point lead now over Kaden Honeycutt. Chandler Smith back 126. Everybody else is going to be repositioning for their chase seating. Christian Ecke's in fourth at 157. 20 back is Gio Ruggiero in fifth. Ty Majeski ways back, needs the reset in sixth. Then you got Ben Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, and Grant Infinger within, 30 there? Stuart Friesen right at the edge now and is actually tied, if I'm looking at this right, 336, tied with Tyler Ankrum at 336, Jake Garcia, 325, Brendan Queen, rookie in the Dodge Ram, 313, Corey Heim, doesn't matter, and then down to Andres Perez de Lara at 305. So there too, it's right now, you know, Stuart Friesen, not to say he's not looking for wins, but he's got to worry about week in, week out consistency and max points so that he can maintain or get a little further in. Again, he's right on the line along with Tyler Ankrum.
Yeah, Tyler Ankrum was in, Stuart Friesen was out, and this week it's completely reversed. But if you notice, there's not a lot of movement in that top 10. They're pretty stable where they are. But I'm looking to see if there's any close battles here. The biggest one is that tie for 10th and 11th, I guess. Reid, any thoughts here?
Of course. I always have thoughts. So ThorSport as a whole has definitely been off this year. One guy I want to look at towards the bottom is actually Cole Butcher. Kind of been a disaster rookie season for Cole. He shows races where he'll have like solid speed, and sometimes he'll even qualify very well and be up front, and then he'll either make a mistake or get caught up in somebody else's mess, have a mechanical failure, and that's kind of been similar to Ty Majeski. Tons of mechanical failures up and down. I'm like amazed that he's still like kind of firmly in the chase, and I expect him to make it. However, I will say, do not count out Ben Rhodes. I always feel like Ben Rhodes is a championship contender no matter where he's at, just because he's a two-time Truck Series champion, and both times he won it, he was written off, and it was kind of an upset, and I don't think you can ever cut out Ben Rhodes.
Okay.
The one I see here as of late that you talk about that is Dawson Sutton. Again, need to do that week in and week out, but you're seeing his name more up front week in and week out, either starting up front, having a good run. I feel like I'm hearing his name more and more over the past month or so than I had heard all season. So he's at 240, would need almost a full 100 points. I don't know if he can get in, but he's one I look at, watch in the future.
Yeah, I think you're right, because Dawson Sutton always tends to just kind of run in the 11th to 20th range, but you rarely see him get into incidents. And in a place like the Truck Series where there isn't a ton, like an absolute ton of competition and full-time guys that you see in the Cup Series, that adds up a lot over time, and he can definitely make up some points here.
Jay, you mentioned Landon Lewis. He's 22nd right now, but he moved up 3 spots with this race. He surpassed Connor Mozak, Frankie Munoz, and Corey LaJoie. So we will definitely keep an eye on him here.
All right, 181. Yeah, he's another one that I think of as he gets to be full-time now, and then next year really see. And I think back to the year Lane Riggs didn't make the playoffs at that time as it was, but came out and started winning races. That's where he really did establish, hey, I am a contender. I just didn't make it this year.
Exactly.
Also wanted to mention Tyler Reif. I feel like he's definitely shown a lot of promise in his starts for Nice Motorsports. Not as much as Landon Lewis, but Tyler Reif, he's definitely been there. He almost won at San Diego for so that was crazy, but was right next to Kaden Honeycutt those last few laps at North Wilkesboro. So definitely look out for him as well.
All right. So in the Truck Series now, as we think about what's going on there, let's talk about our discussion here. What are the championship implications? We've got Stuart Friesen that just made it in. Tyler Ankrum, we talked about it in the preview with All Sports All Day this week. We kind of anticipated him dropping out because we haven't really heard much from Tyler Ankrum. Is he going to show up before the chase begins, do you think?
I don't know. That McAnally Hilgeman racing team does not have a lot of momentum right now. Throughout the past couple of years, it seems like they had some good speed in 2024 and kind of lost a step in 2025, and they took a huge step backwards this year. Nowhere near as fast. I think you can only really count on Daniel Hemrick to get consistent finishes, but when I look up and see Tyler Ankrum, I see him around the teens. So when you have a poor performance like that at North Wilkesboro, I don't think they're a shoe-in to even make the chase anymore.
Okay, Jay?
Well, he's the one tied with Stuart Friesen, and when you look at it as far as Sharon used the word momentum, I think Friesen is, and he knows, and he's putting in what he has to. Yes, he's still doing his modified big block stuff, but again, racing at the track here in the Truck Series and in the late model series, he knows, hey, it's going to come down to crunch time. He's the one with the momentum going upward versus Tyler Ankrum down. And then I look at, like you mentioned, of what is it week in and week out, even on weeks where they have a little bit of speed or show promise, are they delivering? Jake Garcia is another one. That whole group there, is all in that Virgin. They're all in the same boat. But you got Stuart Friesen and Grant Enfinger, the two that here lately have said, hey, we got to go, and they have. These other teams are like still kind of hit or miss, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
I think you're right. It's got to be that decision by the team. So we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts, Reid?
You mentioned Grant Enfinger. That win at Lime Rock was huge for his momentum. He had a race where he didn't bleed points, and then this week at North Wilkesboro, had more issues and finished 25th. I think 2 laps down. Let me check. Hold on, let me check that. I got to be accurate. 2 laps down. So I think Grant Enfinger's win was very impressive. I think he will make the chase. But again, if you even want to contend for a championship, you just can't have races where after you have a great race like you did at Lime Rock, where you executed all day, get the win. You can't just throw away all that momentum. And I think that's what guys at ThorSport are also struggling with. Like you mentioned, Jake Garcia, to his credit, led some laps at North Wilkesboro on strategy. So, but still finished like 13th. Not what you want to see when you're trying to make the chase, but it's going to be very interesting these next few weeks.
Well, we talked about Front Row Motorsports. They're coming on strong. Chandler Smith coming on. Lane Riggs has been doing really well. How dangerous are they going to be during the chase, or are they starting to go the opposite direction? We talked about how hard it is to maintain that momentum. Jay?
Well, like you said, though, Lane Riggs has pretty much had it since he had a little bit of a rough start, knocking down the wins. And again, if he's not winning, he's finishing 2nd through 5th. Chandler Smith is the one that's kind of been that up and down, and it kicks. I get a kick out of it. Several broadcasters refer to it as the Majeski diamond, up and down. And we've documented it. That seems to be the reference point is Majeski's season. Chandler Smith's maybe not quite as rough, but it's got to be more on an upward slope than not as we get to the chase. I hope to see that. Like I said, he was my pick when he first came back to the Truck Series and just hasn't quite fully delivered. He's been in the conversation, but not been the conversation.
Reid?
Yeah, I think the favorite is still Lane Riggs, but I like that consistently when Lane Riggs is fast, Chandler Smith also shows a lot of speed. I think that's great for a team trying to win a championship. The thing with Chandler Smith, though, is he makes more mistakes than Lane. I think back to Charlotte where he just spun out, got loose those last couple laps and shortened the race there. And I think this race showed that Chandler Smith can just go out and dominate, and I think that's a great sign. But yeah, I think the only way to really judge this is just see how they do these next few weeks at the short tracks. I want to see if they can replicate that same dominance that they did at North Wilkesboro.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I think these next few weeks are going to tell us just where Front Row Motorsports is compared to somebody else who could be on the rise. You mentioned Ben Rhodes as somebody to watch out for. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come up with a victory. Chandler Smith could come up with a second victory and cut into that points deficit that he has right now. We talked about how big it was that Grant Enfinger got that victory. Could he come up with another victory and kind of improve his chances? So I think these next few weeks are going to be really, really important in the NASCAR Truck Series to see who really is carrying momentum as they go into the chase that's coming up here.
Reid mentioned it. Grant Enfinger is a great example of you got the momentum, you got a road course win of all things, but what happens the next week? It's right back to where you were, and that's just not going to cut it. It's really not.
Yeah, and you guys have kind of alluded to this all along as well, making minimal mistakes, being able to hang in there with the long green flag runs, and track position does matter. Who impressed you this weekend in the Truck Series that besides the winner, Chandler Smith? Who was the other driver? Who was another driver that impressed you? You kind of mentioned a couple people, but in this race specifically. Reid?
Go ahead, Reid.
You're on mute, Reid.
Whoops. Anyways, yeah, so I mentioned SVG very briefly. I thought that we saw how good he was in the Cup race. We'll talk about that. But I think it's good for SVG to run more truck and O'Reilly races when he's in the Cup Series. I think that helps him get more experience so he can be more ready for race weekend in the Cup Series. But I thought that was great. He qualified pretty early on. That's kind of what happens with a lot of these part-time Cup drivers. And he was kind of mid-pack, and North Wilkesboro is pretty hard to pass. And at the end, he was there, and he was coming pretty fast. I think if, put, 30 or 40 laps there, which sounds like a lot because it kind of is. He probably would have gotten a second. I already mentioned Landon Lewis. I thought he had a great performance. And I'm looking down the order here. Other than Tyler Reif, there weren't too many guys that I was that impressed with, other than the ones I already mentioned. Shout out to Ryan Newman with his first NASCAR start in quite some time here. Ram Racing, Colleague Racing, they struggled. That was not a good sign on the short tracks. And also, shout out to Clayton Green in the number 22 Rayome, finishes 31st. How about that for Texas? So there we go.
In case you didn't know, Reid is from Texas, so he's like me with the Illinois drivers. We like to shout them out, and Jay likes to shout out the Alabama drivers.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't get many of them. A couple of the Minnesota ones, but Reid, I'd have to agree with you. I'm going to do them in reverse order. You said earlier you talked about Landon Lewis and went to SVG this time, and that would have been my first one. But then I will go back to Landon Lewis. And as I mentioned, really going to watch what he does now that he's got the full-time capability based on his age. And the big thing, we talked about this of when you talk about like even Corey Heim, we were kind of surprised on. Once you lose that continuity and week in and week out with the team, yeah, great team, great driver. But if you're not doing it that week in and week out, you lose a little bit. So, to see what Landon Lewis can now build with that team, being their core driver, everything is about him and their communication and working together. We'll see how that continues for sure. But man, Truck Series a little bit here, very impressive for the start for SVG. We'll get to the Cup. That overall for the weekend was my highlight.
Okay. Jamie says, I hope North Wilkesboro never gets a sponsor rebranding. I hope not either, because I like the old feel of North Wilkesboro Speedway. I agree with you, Jamie. You guys want to say anything?
Well, that was what. Oh, go ahead, Reid.
I honestly. Oh, yeah. I just want to mention Landon Lewis. Where is he in points? Real quick.
20. Sharon, what? 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah, 22nd. He's ran 5 races this year. That's pretty incredible. And in those 5 races, he's finished top 20 in all of them and top 10 in 4 of them. So, and before that, he's only raced in the Truck Series approximately 3 times. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. I think there's a lot to be proud there for him and Nice Motorsports.
I kind of compare that to Brent Cruz in the O'Reilly of missing the races he did due to being underage. Of where can you get then with what you got left? And that's what I said. I wanted to mark where he was at now after this weekend and climbs to by the end of the season. Talking about North Wilkesboro and the rebranding, that was something they did. They talked about in the video package they did with Dale Jr. and getting that track ready, starting with iRacing, was keeping that historic look to it. Yes, you got to make some upgrades. Yes, you got to change some things, but they really did want to keep that old school feel to it. So I do think that will continue because that was very prominent in part of Dale Jr.'s wanting to bring it back. They wanted to bring it back as it was. Fix what you had to, but leave what you can.
I hope they never get rid of the elevator.
Right?
I really think that is so cool.
Or the scorecards that they have there. Or the
scorecards.
Right?
Mama Smith was up there changing the numbers on the scorecard. That was awesome. Yes, I love those features, and I hope they never do away with that. That was pretty cool. It's not something I'd want to see every week, but when you go to North Wilkesboro, that's when you want to see those kind of things. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on to the NASCAR Cup Series. Joey Logano is back. He broke, and Jay and I were talking about this earlier. All season long, we've been talking about Kyle Larson and his winless streak, and it just kept climbing. Never once have we mentioned Joey Logano and his winless streak, and Joey Logano is actually one race longer than Kyle Larson, 45. He breaks a 45 race winless streak this week. What are your guys' thoughts about that? Reid, we'll start with you on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when everybody was talking about Larson not winning in over a year, I was kind of in the back of my head, I was like, I don't think Logano has either, but we haven't talked about him because he's honestly just not been in as contention as Larson. But what I will say, that Texas race that he won, he didn't even have he wasn't contending for most that day. And this was truly the first race in which he had genuine race winning speed in quite some time, since maybe 2024 Phoenix, I think of 2024 Richmond. And I don't know. I think this kind of came as a shock. I knew he was going to be good. He's been great at these short tracks, and also Loudon. He was great last year in 2025. And yeah, I was super surprised just by how dominant he was.
Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, Sharon and I talked earlier. I was like, when I heard that on the broadcast, yeah, I'm like you, Reid. I had in the back of my head New Year's having a rough year. It'd been a while since he won, but I didn't have that kind of number to it. And when they said it, I was just like, why has that not been mentioned by
Yeah.
anybody? I mean, I get Kyle Larson drives for Hendrick Motorsports, everything else, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, that was just like, how has this not come up anywhere, whether it be on X, Facebook, anything? I was just like, duh. And I hadn't specifically looked at it, but yeah, that caught me so off guard. As did, Reid, you mentioned it. I think even the competitors, everybody said, yeah, it's a track Joey should do good at. He's having a rough year. This should be one of his better days. But to come out and absolutely, I mean, Denny Hamlin came out and said it. He's like, yeah, I had nothing. I mean, unbelievable to come out like that and just absolutely flip that switch 180 degrees. Now we got to look at, we've said it with the several, got to continue it. It's got to be continuous week in and week out.
I'll tell you, these next tracks that are coming up on the schedule, they're right into Joey Logano's wheelhouse. Jamie Schweitzer says win number 38 for Joey. He had a 45 winless streak. Larson is now at 45 race winless streak. Can he break his winless streak at Indy? Maybe.
I would like to say. Sorry. Finish.
No,
finish what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. It would be cool if he did, but I feel like we've been saying that all season long. Could this be the race that Kyle Larson breaks that winless streak? I don't know. What do you think?
I remember a comment on here a couple of weeks ago during the on the Hot Topics, and it was asking if we thought Kyle Larson or Joey Logano would win a race this season first. I said Joey Logano because it's something that would totally make sense to happen, and it ended up paying off. And I don't think Kyle Larson will win at the Brickyard. I think it can happen, but even that, the Brickyard, I thought Penske was really good there last year. I thought Logano was, if he doesn't get that flat tire, he might have won that race actually. So it was, well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, I think it's Team Penske to beat right now. Ryan Blaney, I thought he was the guy that we were going to see at North Wilkesboro because on the short tracks, he's been a little bit better than Joey. But I think Joey just has North Wilkesboro down because he's been super good here.
Jay?
Yeah, I remember that was a part of it of a huge discussion when you guys were talking about that in the chat room of Joey Logano's season. Is a little bit surprising because we've talked about how close Kyle Larson has come during that winless streak, and I was one of them for a stretch this spring and into the summer. Yeah, this one's it. I give up because I'm like, I don't know how he doesn't or hadn't. So I would have still picked Larson too before Logano based on their year. Like I said, Larson's been in contention in the conversation a whole lot more than Joey had. But you throw in it being North Wilkesboro, clearly it was his track all the way around. So it was still a little bit surprising. I don't see it at Indy, unfortunately. Again, HMS just as a whole doesn't seem to quite have their ducks in a row. So we'll have to see, but I would go with the Fords there over the Chevrolets.
Now that you say that, Kyle Larson is going to come out and dominate the Brickyard 400 and prove you wrong.
And I'd be okay with that. I'll eat that crow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I feel like we've been saying it all year. Jamie says Joey and Bell tested North Wilkesboro the most in the next-gen car. And that does help when you test. Bell is a winner at North Wilkesboro. Joey's a winner at North Wilkesboro, and I forget who it was. It Larson? Is he the other winner?
It was Larson. Yeah,
it was Larson. Okay, so it's kind of interesting in that perspective. So I think it's going to be fun to see what happens here. I think you guys are going to be surprised at Indianapolis. I think he is going to come out strong at Indianapolis. It's a short, flat, concrete rectangle. It's not an oval, but I think Joey Logano could do a lot better than you think. So what are the championship implications now that Penske, we feel like they just kind of woke up. I kind of did expect Ryan Newman to do better in that race. He did race from the back of the field right up to the front, and then he got kind of put back again. He was still finished in the top 10, so it's not like he did bad. And I think Austin Cindric was up there too. So we haven't gone over the race results yet. Let's do that real quick for the NASCAR Cup Series. And Reid, I'm going to go to you and have you cover the race results here for the series.
All right, then. Perfect.
Whoops, what happened here?
Oh, not perfect. Never mind.
Okay, here. Now we've got it.
All right, the bald eagle himself, Joey Logano, with the race win. He beats Denny Hamlin, who kept him honest. Pretty much that last run, that entire last run there. I can't see the rest
Cass and I call him Mr. Clean.
I can't see the rest of the results there. I think he.
Oh, okay. He did gain 73 points in this race, and he did lead 323 laps with a win margin of 0.859 seconds.
Oh, out of 450 laps. Pretty insane. That's why he led 8 laps all season and led 323 today. I knew he would be good. I thought he'd run top 5 all day. Was not expecting this. Chase Briscoe. For a little bit, I thought he may have had something for Joey Logano, but just didn't quite have it on those super long runs that Joey Logano did. But he comes home 3rd. Ty Gibbs, 4th. I think he probably had a car that could have fought well with Joey Logano. He gained like probably 6 seconds there on that last run. He came from a lap down, and then he got his lap back and made up some good time there. Won the opening stage against SVG, who finishes 5th with another oval top 5 and probably his most complete oval performance of his career thus far. He had the 3rd best average running position, was 1 corner away from winning stage 1 straight up. I remember on the radio, SVG, when he got clear of Hamlin for the lead, he cued in and said, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and I thought that was just, he's developing super quick, and with how abysmal Trackhouse has been with all of their other drivers, it's really interesting. It's so strange that SVG out of all of them is their best performing driver. Bubba Wallace, great run on a short track, usually not one to kind of be in contention, but he had some great speed pretty much all day. And Brad Keselowski kind of flew under the radar, finished 7th. He needed this run. He was
a do not pick this week.
Yeah, he was. I watched that fantasy report, and I can't say I disagreed with it. And I think he caught a lucky break with that caution in the middle that we'll talk about eventually. But you know, he's showed some great speed. Todd Gilliland finished 8th. Even without that caution in the middle, I still thought he did have a lot of great speed. But even when he got the track position, he maintained it throughout that entire final stage. So shout out to Todd Gilliland. That was great. And Daniel Suarez.
He beat his competitor for the in-season challenge, which was Chase Elliott.
Yes, he did. And Daniel Suarez comes home with a top 10 and 9th. Another great run for him. He got very lucky on that caution. And Ryan Preece finishes. Most of these guys from like 8th on down were at least a lap down. and Ryan Preece gets a top 10. Ryan Blaney was running top 5 for most of the day. He came back, but had a speeding penalty. Still made his way up to 11th. Shows how interesting this race turned out being. But those are kind of our top finishers. And a lot of these guys had competitive cars here in the teens, but they got trapped a lap down and then eventually several laps down after an Alex Bowman caution around, I don't remember the lap, but it was around halfway through the race.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alex Bowman a little bit later, but also about William Byron. Was it William Byron? Who were the two drivers? Connor Zilic and
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson.
That was Zilic and Larson.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So stay tuned for that conversation. Alex Bowman ended up in 26th place here. But yeah, Eric Jones ran up front for a while. I thought maybe he would have a good run, but he faded at the end. I think it had to do with pit strategy calls. But the fastest lap, who was that?
That was Ross Chastain, surprisingly.
Ross Chastain at 18.67. Jay, any thoughts here?
Yeah, quite a few actually. Obviously the caution changed a lot of things, talking about drivers getting lapped down. Ironic that they compared it to the throwback of North Wilkesboro, only 6 cars on the lead lap, but some of that was based on that caution, not outright speed like we used to see at North Wilkesboro, but kind of an ironic throwback to that. What I look at though was, even with that and how the top 10 shook out, if you look at it, only 2 drivers, Ty Gibbs starting 2nd and Denny Hamlin starting 7th, started in the top 10. Everybody else, I'm sorry, Shane Van Gisbergen, I apologize, actually started 8th. Everybody else was in the teens. 11th, Joey Logano. Chase Briscoe coming as far back as 30th, Bubba Wallace 26th, Brad Keselowski 23rd, and Ryan Preece 21st. So that was kind of caught my eye, and I wondered about there. And again, I know that caution played a big factor in a lot of things as far as top speed cars. And then Sharon, you mentioned a couple that looked pretty good early on, Eric Jones being one of them. Thought we were going to see another at least top 10 from him, and we didn't.
Okay, I'm going to play a little catch-up time here real quick.
You found the ketchup.
Yeah, I found some ketchup with some fries.
That is a clear image right there. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, Hunter Blazer's in the house. He said barely any cars left on the lead lap after the Cup race. And Jamie says HMS cars all finished not on the lead lap for the first time ever. Yes, I have that on my list of conversations for tonight.
Wow.
P12, the best finish for Hendrick Motorsports, and that was 2 laps down. Ty Gibbs was a respectable foe, Jamie Schweitzer says. He says SVG attitude has evolved into a real NASCAR type of character.
Absolutely. I love it. I love him. Yep.
Hunter says, I had SVG for top Chevy, big payday. Ooh, good job, Hunter.
Congrats on that.
He also says, I like SVG here after the metrics for qualifying. A lot of braking and shift changing on short, flat track. Yep, you're right. And Jamie says, short track racing. He loves it.
Yep. I wanted to mention last week while I wasn't on the show that I was really excited to see SVG at Echo Park and North Wilkesboro. He tends to run very well at Echo Park specifically for whatever reason. He ran top 10 for most of it earlier in the spring. He ended up finishing 5th or 6th. So, and then North Wilkesboro, I was expecting a great performance from him because that Bowman Gray, he led laps. And then I remember North Wilkesboro in the All-Star Open, I believe. I don't remember. He led a bunch of laps in that race as well. So very good short track racer, even by like normal NASCAR stock car racing standards. So great job for SVG.
Yes,
and that goes back to what Hunter said. generally speaking, if you have a road course ace, if you will, they do better initially on the short tracks. You mentioned the braking and shift changing. With that, the smoothness of it that we know SVG can do, especially on the road courses. So yeah, that wasn't a huge surprise. It was a little bit of how good he was going back to the truck race and here in the Cup race. And like you said, the character he is, when he got out front, he's just like, what do I do now? Like he's never been out front. He knows what to do, but just on an oval to be like, hey, I've never done this before.
Yeah, and I was saying all last week that you never know with SVG. There is a lot of skill sets that translate over from the road course racing to the short track racing, and I think he proved that point this weekend.
Yes, he did.
I was really excited for him.
And great for the chase as well. He extends his gap over that cut line.
Yes,
He's done it a lot these past couple weeks. Huge few weeks for him.
And Jamie says, will any HMS or JG car miss the race and the chase entirely? We're going to talk about that.
Alex
But
Bowman.
real quick, your thoughts, Jay?
Well, you want me to run down the points? If you want to pull them up, I can do the total points here.
Points here.
All right.
Hold on, I got to change it over.
Bowman is kind of an exception. Obviously, he is going to miss the chase as he missed multiple races this season and wasn't performing at top Hendrick Motorsports level. Outside of him, no, I do not think anybody does, and we'll see here when we look at the points. All right.
Okay, there.
All right, that looks pretty squared up. Denny Hamlin is still your points leader, extended it. We'll get into that. Tyler Reddick now actually has a little bit of heat coming from behind him. He's at minus 68, and Ryan Blaney at minus 87. So that's only 19-point difference there. The other one, and Reid, Jamie said it. I've been saying this all year now. Keep an eye on Ty Gibbs. Right now is 134 back, 47 behind Ryan Blaney. But if he stays that consistent into the chase, he can be part of this conversation. He's taken over from Chase Elliott, who dropped back a little bit more now, as he's at 634, 74 behind. Kyle Larson in 6. Carson Hocevar, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell round out your top 10. 11th through 16th. Daniel Suarez, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Shane Van Gisbergen, Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric. So William Byron is actually your top, taking Bowman out of the question, which I think, like I said, that's a given. In 12th at 246, the cut line is Austin Cindric at 495. I think we're pretty safe there. Not to say it can't happen. We have seen some huge point swings here as of late. But unfortunately, with that, I mentioned Joey Logano and then Austin Cindric being your two right by the cut line. Joey Logano at 511, Austin Cindric at 495. It is a 33-point gap down to Eric Jones now in 17th. First one out. Another 15 back to Ryan Preece. Another 10 back to Brad Keselowski. And right in here is where I had kind of put the mark of probably not going to happen. That's Michael McDowell at 412. You're talking almost 83 points there. Ross Chastain also at that 412. And then Allmendinger, another rough outing, 397. We could see some drivers make a run and come close, but I think Michael McDowell in 20th is probably on the outside of looking at a prayer. And the outside of that, it would be phenomenal in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Reid, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I put down most of my thoughts on the cut line in the chat there. I would like to mention that Michael McDowell is the quietest 20th place points position I think I've ever seen. It's super surprising. Yeah, here it is right here.
Okay, Cindric is a possibility to miss. Logano can still bleed some points unless both perform respectable in these next few short tracks. And However, Jones is not great at these next few tracks, and I expect him to lose points on the cut line, make it easier for Penske.
Yeah, but the question was HMS and JGR. Penske is a different story.
Yeah,
we're going to bring up Penske.
I think it's I don't think JGR is missing anything other than Bowman. I think Byron makes it, even though Byron has struggled these past few races, and even then he's still 12th and ahead of like guys like Bubba Wallace and SVG, who I find more liable to be on the cut line. But right now I think it's actually kind of stabilized a bit with Logano having his the performance he did. So we're just going to see these next couple of weeks. I keep saying that, but I think this stretch of races late in the summer is always super important when deciding who gets in and who doesn't.
Yes, I agree. Hunter's saying Penske only shows up at super speedways and short flat tracks, and then they vanish.
Yep.
Can't argue that.
You guys are in agreement. Okay, anything more you guys want to say with regard to the points?
It's going to be hard for, like, I know we talk about Team Penske, they're on fire right now just because these tracks fit well for them. If they don't show up at all in the chase on these intermediates, I know we go to Kansas, then I still think it would be a failure of a season, because you cannot have such imbalance in a program, because then it takes you out of contention for consistency. And the championship track is not at Phoenix anymore. It's at Homestead. So if anything comes down to it, if they don't show speed, then, man, I don't know. It's pretty bad. That's all I got to say.
They've got to be good on those intermediates. Jay, anything more you wanted to say?
I think when it comes to the chase, and especially this year, it's not been that Penske has been as dominant over the past years. I don't want to say they relied on, but they certainly took advantage of the win and you're in and move on. And then, yes, as Reid pointed out, get yourself to Phoenix, because you know what you got there, and they showed it. That's not the case this year. So even if we're talking about Joey Logano now, a solid points position, or breathable points position anyway, as far as being in, what happens when the chase starts? 2 or 3 races, and you're like, they're targeting 6th, maybe 7th of where you need to be to really have a shot at contending for the championship. I don't think they do. You'd have to have a really hot streak, and some other guys have a little bit of a rough road, which we have seen happen, but you're putting a lot on hope there.
I believe if it's anyone, it's going to be Ryan Blaney.
Blaney is solid.
And he's in 3rd, so yeah. Certainly even after the reset, he's going to be at a deficit, but no, he's certainly, and there again, has certainly been on the upward trend. We'll talk about that, of how the points is closed up here with Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Blaney in a little bit, but Blaney certainly has been that way all year.
Homestead is one of his best tracks. I think it's only just a matter of if Team Penske can bring the horsepower. That's it. I think for Blaney, I think he has a real shot. It just really depends on what cars that Team Penske brings on the intermediates.
Okay. North Wilkesboro proves that it belongs. The very first Cup Series points-paying race there in 30 years delivered a throwback atmosphere with modern stakes. Should this become a permanent summer stop on the schedule? Jay?
Oh, why you got to start with me on this one? Again, I'd say yes. Thrilling race. I think it was great. Love to see it back, whether it be an exhibition or points paying race. The permanent question, it was permanent at one time, but didn't sustain. Right now, we have that re-energization, made up word there, I think. But everybody's excited about it right now. Yeah, just go with it. But we saw this with Road America, Chicagoland, the street course, Iowa. It's got to show sustainability long term. So I think North Wilkesboro is one of those that, see how many non-likes we get here on me, but I think is one of those of due for a 3-year period, take a break, go somewhere else, and then come back to it. It just doesn't seem to have that absolute staying power. That's just my take.
Okay, I'm going to do a little catch up here again. Jamie's asking, when was the last time JGR won a championship? 2019. And I think that was that Kyle Busch?
It was Kyle Busch.
Yes, that was the last time they won a championship that I'm aware of. And that was with Kyle Busch. Also, Blaney might have won if he hadn't gotten a late pit penalty for speeding. He was fastest on the track. Meanwhile, Bell had a rocket in practice and then was a no-show. Yeah, I thought Bell was going to be the driver to beat. So Jamie says, yes, maybe move it to the first weekend in October.
I have some takes here.
Jamie's suggestion. Okay, go ahead, Reid.
So, first off, just to address who said that. Just to address Hunter's comment, not to pick on you. Blaney did not have the speed to win that race. He was probably like a third place car at best, but it was Logano all the way through. And about North Wilkesboro. So I think it is going to be treated a little bit differently because it's an oval and not a road course. Iowa was added onto the Cup Series schedule 2024, and it's been around in the lower series for years. And NASCAR really loves that place. They've been hammering down on trying to get that a permanent spot in the schedule. And with North Wilkesboro, this isn't necessarily an inaugural event. I mean, we've been coming here since 2023, even with the All-Star race. And when you got a guy like Dale Jr., who NASCAR loves pushing the ever-loading you-know-what into this event, I thought it was great. I think it is going to have a permanent spot on the schedule. It seemed super popular with all the fans. I know they said that 49 out of the 50 states were in attendance at that race. NASCAR loves things like that. And you wouldn't think a place in North Wilkesboro and Wilkesboro County, North Carolina would have that much attraction, but it did. And NASCAR loves that. So I think it's here to stay.
Jay?
Yeah, like I said, I would love it, but there too, I mean, I think about how many other tracks I'd love to see have a permanent spot, such as, and I'm going to use Road America, Chicagoland, we just got back now, we wanted. There's so many. I mean, for something new to come in and now get a points race as it did this year, something else has to go out. I'm going to get all kinds of hate mail this week, but I go back to, honestly, I know it's not logistically possible and economically, but race at all the tracks only once. Take away a track race, obviously the second race at Daytona or Talladega. That's just not going to happen. So you're limited, There you go. Dover, a great example of that was one that had to give up a day and actually gave up a spot as a permanent points race. So, yeah, I mean, there's only so much room and time on the schedule.
I really like that they start at Daytona and then the regular season ends at Daytona. I think that's a perfect scenario for the two Daytona races. So I like that. I hope they keep that.
I think fans are more okay with it now than they used to be. Now that winning you're in isn't here, so people can appreciate the actual let the event speak for itself a little bit more rather than just playoffs, winning you're in. Harrison Burton 34th in points gets into the playoffs last lap. I think it helps a little bit, but I think Jay's got something that he wants to say.
Well, no, that was a couple weeks ago that the morning drive had that discussion. Does the Daytona race need to be the regular season cutoff? That was very specific of, hey, this is your last chance, and it's a place where it can happen for the win and you're in. Now that is gone, maybe Daytona goes back to the original 4th of July weekend, since everybody's struggling with that. Nobody seemed to have a problem with it when it was Daytona 4th of July weekend. So that, like I said, that last opportunity of the win and you're in really fit Daytona. So that might be something that changes now. But I mean, I'm with you, Sharon. It's kind of cool. Regular season start and end at Daytona had something to it, but I think it was more so of this is your last chance to get a win and get in.
If I might have a suggestion as well. I think it would be great to see the 4th of July weekend actually at Atlanta so it can keep its summer date and get rid of the spring date, because I feel like 6 drafting tracks is a little redundant. And I love the racing at Atlanta. I don't think we need 2 dates there in the Atlanta market. And I think moving it for like a 4th of July event because the racing there is so good would be great.
They have lights there, right? So we could do a night race.
I mean, we had a night race.
Me and Reid got to go at it now. Of all the tracks, Atlanta being one of the most competitive, you see 3 to 5 wide racing for stages and wins. That one you want to take 2 away from, but pack racing where you can't go nowhere. You see, Hunter's with me. I got Hunter on my side. Who you got with you, Reid?
I'm with
I got me, myself, and I.
All right. Well, Sharon said she's with. No, I would much rather see 2 at Atlanta than Talladega or Daytona. But anybody that's watched this knows I am not a big fan of the pack racing. It's not the super speedway. I loved Atlanta. Right now, I'd be one of those fans I complain about. I want to see every race at Atlanta. I want to see the championship race at Atlanta. Just do everything at Atlanta.
I need to do some catch up here. Hunter says I want my 2 races a year back at my home track, Dover. So he does not want to lose a race at Dover. Jamie says bye to Kansas. 2HO makes that destination to go to.
It's a who. The next one will fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Kansas has struggled with attendance.
Who makes that? Kansas is not a huge market. Not many local fans. No one drives to Kansas to see a race.
I am.
We have. Yep.
I'm gonna go to.
I wouldn't mind going. Hunter says, "What? Atlanta is the best track as of late on the schedule." So Hunter was right there with you, Jay.
Yep.
But I still like. I went to the Daytona race at Daytona over 4th of July weekend. It always rains. That Pepsi 400 that they used to have there, we called it the precipitation 400 because we stayed all day at the track while it rained all day. So no Daytona race at 4th of July weekend. I would rather have Atlanta than Daytona for 4th of July, but one Atlanta race, not 2.
I don't think you can. Like, I know the super speedway package at Daytona, Talladega is not good right now, and because of that, the racing in turn isn't. That's not. I don't think it's a track problem. I don't think you can really take away a Daytona or Talladega date with how much those dates mean those tracks mean to the sport. With all due respects to Atlanta, I don't think you can we can talk about the racing all you want, but I don't think you can compare the history to it anywhere near as much as Daytona or Talladega.
No, I mean history. Yeah, I get that, and that's why I said I know it's not going to happen. I understand that, but yeah, I'm with Hunter of that's the best racing. Honestly, I mean
you're not
full
wrong.
up with that. I want to go back to something Sharon said. I'm going to use this big spoon. You talked about Daytona in the rain. Yeah, that means we can't go back and run the Chicago Street Course. We can't run Chicagoland. I mean, come on now. If that's your answer. Chicago does really bad with the rain when it comes to that.
I think if it rains, it's off the schedule, and you can come back next year.
Right. Wow. Hey, man. Good thing Reid's not in charge of the schedule. Holy crap.
Jamie says the last race of the season is switched up every year now. Which track should get the finale in 28? I say move the Coca-Cola 600 to the season finale in 28. No, I like the Coca-Cola 600 because of where it is.
You know, that was one back on. Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting, Jamie. Crown Jewel race should be the finale, like the first one is. That's an interesting thought.
Ooh, interesting thought.
Charlotte was discussed as one of the outside possibilities. When you're talking about the season finale, we're talking about November, and weather does have to be a discussion. We had the oddity of New Hampshire during after September 11th attacks, that being moved to Thanksgiving weekend. They got away with it. I'll just say that. That was unlikely. Charlotte is one of those tracks, could be good, it could be bad. And I've been in Atlanta back when Atlanta hosted that season finale. I've been there a couple times with jackets, and if you're from the South, you call it a toboggan, but it's not a toboggan. You ride as a sled. Anyhow, being really cold. So, yeah, Charlotte would be a tough one. It would be interesting, I think. The Crown Jewel as a season finale is an interesting thought.
I don't like having a Crown Jewel as the season finale because I'm going to say this. The past two championship races have not been won by the champion. And I think it takes away a lot of the pedigree for a guy who's not in contention for the championship. He wins the race, but it's not going to be remembered for him winning the Crown Jewel. It's going to be remembered for whoever won the championship that year. And I think
we don't have that anymore with the Chase anyway.
But even
not necessarily.
Even then, it still has the likely possibility that the guy who wins the race isn't the champion.
That's right.
Right, agreed. But that goes back to one of the ones I watched was Labonte's. That one won the race, one won the championship. Jeff Gordon very rarely won the championship at Atlanta. He had won it 3 to 4 weeks earlier. It just wasn't official yet.
Jamie says Charlotte's never had snow that early. I did the research. And
I don't mind having Charlotte there.
He says the longest race, the homecoming saving sponsors, teams, networks, and NASCAR a ton of money if held in Charlotte.
Man, Jamie's selling it. I'll give you that.
Here's my thing.
He wants to go to a championship race, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right. That kind of ruined it. Be like, yeah, it's my backyard. That's why I want it here.
That's why he wants it.
How about the championship race at Texas Motor Speedway? Do you guys like that?
Now somebody else I know wants to go.
Right.
Yeah. So Charlotte already does have 2 dates. I think you can just move that 400-mile race as the championship date, and I feel like people wouldn't be up in arms about it.
Yeah, I would rather move that one to the championship race.
Coca-Cola and Christmas and Jamie's.
Coca-Cola and Christmas, perfect for the
polar bears.
He is selling it. Selling it.
No, I could buy what Sharon said of I wouldn't move the Coca-Cola 600. I mean, again, the Crown Jewel finale, but like you said, you're splitting it because the focus is going to be on the championship, whoever it is, however they win it, not necessarily on the Crown Jewel. But moving the 400 race, I could buy it. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I'm also not going to necessarily be there. Temperature would be, it's not just the snow, it's just the temperature. I don't think it ever snowed on it in Atlanta, but it was darn cold.
Okay, we got some people riled up over here.
Jamie's not done. Last race should be the hardest race to win.
Jamie,
you love talking about the championship race.
Well, he lives in that Charlotte area.
Yeah,
he lives in.
I think that's the one selling point he hasn't admitted and said yet. But yeah, by the way, it'd take me 10 minutes to get there.
Hey, okay, all of these tracks are hard to win. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm going to shift our focus back to the chase momentum. Who
You're,
leaves?
you're going to try. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I'm going to try. Who leaves North Wilkesboro with confidence? Who leaves frustrated?
Ooh.
Jay?
Oh, wow. Who leaves with confidence? Well, I would have to say SVG. I do for him based on that run. Denny Hamlin's obviously sitting in a good position. I think Ryan Blaney does. Who leaves? Everybody but Bowman. There were several that first off, Tyler Reddick. And his downslide has been going before this, but that did not help.
Yes.
That caution did not help several drivers we've mentioned. Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, the Hendrick cars that were fastest but laps down. So, yeah, there's a lot that are leaving there frustrated. But, no, number one for me, I think SVG's got to be riding a serious high coming out of North Wilkesboro.
Okay, Reid, your thoughts?
Hamlin for sure, because he actually really gets a gap over Reddick now. SVG definitely. I think Indianapolis is going to be an important race. If he can be like 20th, I think he'll be okay. Because we got some like Iowa and Richmond, and then eventually season-ending one at Daytona. Pretty good drafter. So let's look here. Momentum. Tyler Reddick, no. Ryan Blaney, yes. Ty Gibbs, yes. Chase Elliott, no. Kyle Larson, no. Carson Hocevar, yes. Chase Briscoe, yes. Chris Buescher, no. Christopher Bell, no.
Yeah,
those are my
that's pretty good. He went right down the list here. Hamlin is already confident, no question of that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Speaking of that, I like we've seen a different Hamlin this year. And I like this different Hamlin as opposed to the Hamlin that we've seen in previous years.
I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree with that. And, when Jamie first said it, I was thinking he's cocky, but really has been this year has reason to be confident. Kind of left off Joey. None of us how come Joey got left off again? No, clearly you win a race, you're leaving on a high. Yeah.
When you think about Richmond and what was the other short track? Richmond and
Iowa.
Those two tracks are going to be right in his wheelhouse. So he was very happy for Joey. And I thought,
that's how you know he's confident.
Yeah, he is confident this year. That is a different Denny Hamlin that we're seeing. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked at that too. And he did say it was really hot when he got out of his car. It was really hot.
There were a lot of drivers talking about that.
Okay, now here's our next storyline. Was this NASCAR's best short track race of 2026? Let's compare it to the Bristol race, the Martinsville race, and North Wilkesboro. Which one delivered the best racing this season? Reid, we'll start with you on this one.
I would put Phoenix in that list. I wouldn't choose it. I'd put Phoenix there just because of how much intermediates we've had lately. I'd go Bristol probably. I like the racing at North Wilkesboro. Some people on social media are being babies about about all the guys being lapped down. That caution doesn't happen. You get a finishing order very similar to Bristol, very similar to Martinsville, very similar to Dover. Nothing we haven't seen before. It was just that caution. Those type of things on short tracks now are very rare that you see, and it happened at North Wilkesboro. But I like the racing. You could go 3 wide. That lap traffic was fun to watch, just 3 wide casually. The main group was on the outside, but that's how it is at a lot of these races. But I got to go with Bristol. I just thought the strategy and the amount of layers to see who could pass about how the finish was shaping up was very interesting. But I think I'll go with Bristol.
Okay, Jay.
I kind of got to lean more towards North Wilkesboro here, though. Had that caution not come out, I think about some of the battles we could have seen. Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, do I think they had what Joey did? No. I mean, we saw that at the end. Hamlin said, hey, I tried everything. I got to him, and I mean, he cut through traffic. I think in this case, the winning of the race was Joey's all the way. But I think there would have been some other great battles, and what we might have saw between Gibbs battling with SVG, Blaney, the Hendrick cars, because they kept saying they were lapped down, but they were the fastest cars on the track. So, yeah, the caution to me actually kind of ruined it. But I think racing-wise, I think at the end of stage one, and I broke my heart. I like Ty Gibbs, and he made a heck of a move to get that stage win from SVG. But just to see SVG in that mix, so
Yeah.
I gotta give it to North Wilkesboro in this case.
Yeah, I got to give it to North Wilkesboro too. I felt like we saw a lot of people driving up through the field. Ryan Blaney did it, and you guys are right. It's the caution that kind of ruined it at that race, because without that caution, a lot
Alex
of those
Bowman.
drivers would have been competing, huh?
Alex Bowman, he pulled a Quinn Houff.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. I thought the racing at North Wilkesboro was really, really good. I thought the vibe there was really good. And speaking of that, All Sports All Day isn't on here, and I think I know why. He came back from North Wilkesboro today, and he was a guest on our Bits and Pieces, and he talked about North Wilkesboro, and he said it was so crowded there. They had a sold out crowd. He said he was scrunched into the seats because it was so crowded, but the vibe was really good. Not as good as the first race when they came back for the All-Star race for the first time, because he was there in 23, but he said it was still awesome. And
I think the racing has gotten better
really
since
good vibe.
then.
Yeah, the racing has gotten better since then, and he talked about the vibe there was really, really good. So I'd have to go with North Wilkesboro. I think we saw a lot of really good racing and a lot of strategy plays, and you can see how cautions do make a difference. And we'll talk about those cautions, because some of those cautions were brought out by some bonehead moves. And I don't know if it was the driver as much as it might have been a spotter or something else that might have been involved there. But yeah, it's Jamie says, definitely, even without my driver winning, crowd dominance, feel good finish, old school racing style. North Wilkesboro has my vote. So he's voting for North Wilkesboro as well. And not that the racing wasn't good at those other tracks. I think we see good racing at Bristol. We saw Ty Gibbs win at Bristol. That was kind of a big deal for Ty Gibbs. Martinsville always has good racing. I'm not saying that those races aren't good. There's just a different feel about North Wilkesboro, and they've really capitalized on that old school feel at that track, and the crowd came out for it. I loved it.
You know, that to me is the question of just talking about in any race, using Larry McReynolds' phrase of comers and goers. Bristol was the track when it came to short track racing, and what we saw that we're looking for kind of went away and is coming back, I think, here in recent years. Right now, North Wilkesboro, being new and fresh again, has that vibe and everything right now. The question is how long can they sustain it, would be the question. But I still look at just the actual 3-wide, 4-wide battles, bonehead cautions, all of that right now. Yeah, just like I feel like right now Atlanta's got the best overall racing. I would have to say, as far as short tracks, it's North Wilkesboro.
Okay, we're going to get into the biggies here. But before I do that, Hunter's got something. He says, everyone knew it was Joey's best shot at a win this weekend, but he's been nowhere to be found.
Exactly.
That is true. And Jamie also says Rusty Wallace at North Wilkesboro was awesome. Good. That was very awesome.
And Cindric having that paint scheme for him played into it well.
Let's get a throwback weekend going at North Wilkesboro now.
Oh, I love that idea. I love it. Okay, let's get into our biggies. We'll go around the table. Tell me who your biggest winner is, your biggest surprise, your biggest statement, and then just those three for right now. Jay?
I think biggest as far as the repeat how you asked them.
Biggest winner, biggest surprise, and biggest, hold on, I got to go back and look at it again. Biggest winner, biggest surprise, and biggest statement.
Man, it kind of all three have the same answer to me. I don't know which one to put them under, but Joey Logano, SVG, and statement. I don't know where I'd go with the statement, but winner / surprise. Even though he didn't win the race, I feel like SVG was a huge winner coming out of this weekend. Statement wise, as well. Hey, I'm here. I can win on or contend on ovals and deserve to be in the chase even without 5 road course wins. Same thing with Joey Logano. I think that was a statement. I might put him under the statement as well. So I got to kind of go with just those two overall.
Okay, Reid?
All right, so biggest winner, obviously Joey Logano. But the reason why is just because of the chase implications. He had like a 54-point swing and is now on the plus. So he's the biggest winner. Biggest surprise, got to be Todd Gilliland beating Chase Elliott in the in-season tournament.
Ooh,
I figured something like that could very easily happen because it's NASCAR. But I was very impressed with how Todd Gilliland maintained and sustained that. That's why I love the in-season tournament, because it gives a boost of adrenaline or some nitro to guys like Ty Dillon last year, who and then after the in-season tournament ended, he had no momentum, but he was fastest all year during the in-season tournament. So I really appreciated that. Biggest statement is just I got to either go with Chandler Smith's huge gap over the Truck Series field or Joey Logano's leading over 320 laps at North Wilkesboro.
Okay. Jamie says biggest winner, Joey. Biggest surprise, SVG. Biggest statement, Wilkesboro should never have lost the date on the schedule.
All right. That's solid.
That was a good one. Okay. Biggest winner for me, I thought Kaden Honeycutt in the Cars Tour was a big winner. I like seeing him win the doubleheader, winning both of those races. Biggest surprise, SVG. A little bit of a surprise, really. I was hoping he would have a good showing. He did have a good showing, and I think he's going to be one to watch. And I have to agree with the North Wilkesboro. North Wilkesboro made a big statement, I think, this weekend with the success that they had. They sold out. It was crowded. Everybody was having a good time. And we saw good racing all the way around, I thought. So that was it for me. Now the biggest question. Go ahead, Jay.
Ooh. Oh, no, I was going to say, because I said I really didn't have the statement part of mine. I would have to agree with everybody there. I think you're right. I think North Wilkesboro was a statement in and of itself.
Okay. Okay, here's the biggest question. Who's carrying the most momentum into next weekend? I think this is going to be interesting to see what the answers are because, well, I'll tell you later.
I think it's Reid's turn to go first.
Okay, Reid.
So the Fords across, so Team Penske and Front Row Motorsports, the Truck Series, Team Penske in the Cup Series. Very curious to see if they can just keep up that momentum and show and replicate the speed that they showed at North Wilkesboro. I feel like Front Row Motorsports in the trucks is very comparable to Team Penske. Like Lane Riggs is kind of like Ryan Blaney a little bit, where he's just kind of like fast everywhere. And then Chandler Smith is usually like, you could see him as like the other two Penske drivers that are kind of behind Lane Riggs. So we'll see.
I think one of the big questions is, can Team Penske get all three drivers into the chase? I think it's possible. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We've got a couple of short tracks before this season ends, so I think there's a chance. So I have to agree with Jamie Schweitzer there. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because I know people think that this might be the last that we see of Joey Logano. We might not see him at Indianapolis next week, but I'd say watch out for him at Richmond. I think Denny's going to give him more of a run for his money at Richmond. And I'd say watch out at Iowa. I think the lot can happen at Iowa for Team Penske. So I think they've got the biggest momentum going.
Yeah, my initial answer would have been Joey himself, just for the change in direction of a season. And again, not just get a win, but be dominant with it. But as several had said, and Jamie says, Team Penske as a whole, no specific driver. You're right, because Blaney maintains, Cindric is on the rise, right on the cut line. So, and Reid kind of said the same thing of Ford as a whole, to include Front Row Motorsports and Todd Gilliland. So I'd have to agree with that, but I think as far as at least shift, it has to be Joey Logano of his Ty Majeski up and down season, barely having flashes of good races, to come out and not just win, but be dominant. I think he kind of leads the pack, but Ford as a whole.
Okay. And I don't see anything more from the gallery here, so we'll move on here. Okay. I want to, we do have some additional hot topics here, so let's go around the table and you guys tell me what you want to talk about. I think it's your turn, Jay. So
yeah, well, I figure the other one's going to get picked anyway, so I'll pick Kyle Larson and Connor Zilic. Sharon and I talked earlier this morning. I'm like, man, I have seen drivers mad at another driver and aim for their car and not hit him as hard as what Connor Zilic did Kyle Larson on pit road. I get it. He was coming in, Larson coming out, but I mean, there was like no hesitation, no checkup or slide into. I mean, it really looked like he just targeted him and drilled him.
You're talking about Connor Zilic?
Yeah, on pit. Yeah, that was the incident on pit road where Larson was coming out.
I thought it was more the other way around. I thought Larson somebody told Larson to go and he should have waited.
Well, and I know that's the question, but I think as far as I know, my understanding of it on pit road is it's the guy coming in that is supposed to yield to the guy that's already coming out. Obviously, a total lack of communication or thought process. I know that's going to be the case in the other one, but like I said, I didn't even see any checkup it really looked like he just aimed for him and drove into him. I mean, I get Kyle Larson was coming out and, again, whether he's in the right or wrong, somebody should have maybe said, hey, hold up, there's a car coming at an angle and going to hit you. But I don't know. But, yeah, that's something I heard earlier this year. I don't remember what race it was, that they said as a whole it is the car that is coming in is supposed to yield and let the car out if they're on their way out.
Okay. I saw some analysis on YouTube not YouTube, on Twitter or X that said that it was on Larson in this one, but I don't know. What is your thought?
So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the replay on loop right now.
It's a hard hit. That's all I got to say.
I don't think it was on Larson. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just another Connor Zilic 2026 rookie mistake. And I don't know.
That's possible.
Not good. I think, I agree with you, Jay. Like, it's kind of norm that you yield for the driver that's coming out and you wait, but Connor Zilic, he didn't wait. I think that was the issue, is that he just didn't wait at all. So, and then it's too late and he's trying to drive in there, hoping that Kyle Larson gets out in time, and he didn't. But super unfortunate for him. But I think that's all on Zilic. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Hunter says that's how it works. The car leaving the pit is responsible. But I think
that's saying it's Larson.
The car leaving the pit is responsible.
Was Larson, yeah.
Well, he's saying leaving pit road. So he's leaving the pit road to go into the pit.
Oh, I got you.
Into his
Leaving. Okay.
stall.
All right, Hunter, make it clear. Are you in favor? Do you think it's Larson or Zilich? I'm confused now. Uh-oh. What did we lose?
Him?
I
No,
don't
he's
know.
there.
No, I heard a static like something blew up.
Reid, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I think Reid said that he felt it was on Connor Zilich. Hunter
Yeah.
is agreeing that it's Connor
It's
Zilich.
88 fault. Okay, yeah.
Right.
But
We're
I
right.
was just going to say,
We're right.
we're right. Where did I see this? I want to see. It might have been Jeff Gluck that was saying that it was Lon Larson. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. And on their analysis. Okay. If I can't read. Okay. Let me.
Okay. Jamie said driver from behind has the right of way, I feel. See, but I feel that if you can see in front of you what the guy's doing, the guy can't necessarily see behind him. I disagree with that.
Okay. Hold on. I got sidetracked here.
All I know is, like I said, it was a hard hit. I mean, messed both of them up.
Yeah, it was a hard hit.
And Larson still managed to finish like 15th for him. But still, I think we should.
Yeah, but he was
a
lap down. He was a lap or two down.
Yeah. Hey, laps. You don't lose any points for being lapped down. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, that's a different twist to it. If you're a lap down, you should be more giving to the ones that are on the lead lap. I know. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
That's interesting. I don't know. I saw it somewhere on Jeff Gluck's timeline, and I can't find it now. And maybe it wasn't him. I'm thinking it's him, but maybe it was somebody else who said it. But yeah, there's the guy can't see behind him, and they should have figured that in coming in. Okay. Should Zilich know if Larson is getting 2 or 4 tires? See, and that's the thing. How does Zilich know that he's coming out of his pit?
Well, and that too is an interesting thing. We talk about this. This will apply to the Bowman deal too, of communication amongst the crews. But teams are always so secretive about whether they're doing 2 or 4. That can bite them. They don't want their competition to know, but it can bite you too. So you got to take some responsibility yourself. Hey, if you pull a 2-tire stop and are pulling out in front of somebody, they're expecting you to be there a little bit longer. Yeah, maybe if you'd have broadcast you were doing 4. That's fair.
That's a good point. I said that wrong. The guy coming in should not have the right of way. My bad. Okay.
That's why I was a little confused. Jamie kept saying the name, and then when the argument was the other way, I was like, I don't understand. You just had it backwards. Yeah. Okay.
You just had it backwards. Okay. So I don't know. I just think that you should be very, very cautious on pit road. And I know that time is of the essence for these guys, and that's a lot easier to say than it is to do. But I think it's actually on both of them. They got to be looking out for each other out there. But yeah, that was really amazing. The other bonehead move was Alex Bowman. What are your thoughts about Alex, Reid?
I already said my thoughts. He pulled a Quinn Half 2020 summer Texas Motor Speedway race. I remember that, and it was the exact same thing. You can't pit from the outside lane. The biggest thing to his side is that he was in turn 1 and he wasn't in entering turn 3 doing it. But I don't know. Like he didn't. He turned down so fast too. I haven't looked at the in-car camera where you can like see what's being said. I don't know if his spotter was like down, 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 or if he was told to pit just then and there and he like panicked and just immediately went down, because that's what it looked like, because it was so fast and like Reddick couldn't do anything. So yeah, just not a
Reddick
good
was just minding his own business.
yeah, and just
Jay?
not a good move.
Well, and Sharon and I talked about this morning a little bit, and at least try and give some benefit maybe to Bowman of how hard he did pull down like that, of not being told, hey, there's a car behind you or whatever. But you're right. I mean, to try and even go from the lane he was in, obviously somewhere along the way, a late decision and a bad decision. Whoever made it, whoever didn't communicate it, bad all the way around. And that really did affect the points. I mean, the race, a whole lot. Probably burned the rest of his team, because that's how they ended up laps down.
I wish I did know what the communication was, because if he had the crew chief in his ear saying pit, 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 that could explain why he turned the way that he turned. But that would be on the crew chief if it was the case. But I don't know what happened there. I wish I did know, because
let's search it up right now.
Egregious, huh?
Let's search it up right now, because I think it's important to find out if there was like any communication.
Can we put it up on screen? Can you bring it into the studio here so I can bring it up on screen?
I don't know. I'm just gonna see if I can read it out loud real quick.
Okay.
See.
I was going to say the broadcasters never replayed anything to indicate it other than just a bad decision. What'd you find, Reid?
I'm looking. I don't see any communication about it. So I don't know. There's nothing here.
Okay. Yeah, that's what makes this such a hard conversation to have, because we really don't know what the communication is. Now, NASCAR probably does have that. Jamie Schweitzer says, I would like to see a figure 8 race for the 80th anniversary of NASCAR, at least in Arca Menards, with Cletus and Squirrel McNutt involved. A lot of tickets would be sold.
Yeah, that'd be really crazy. Make it double points. Why don't you too?
Man, you go in a different direction, Reid. I was going to say as part of the All-Star Weekend exhibition, something like that. But yeah, let's not get all crazy here.
Yeah, I would make it definitely exhibition. Do not put points on the line in a figure 8 race.
That would be cool to see some like NASCAR sanctioned demo derbies though, at like that would be kind of interesting to see. Just get some like car of tomorrow cars that are just being used in storage for show right now, and just let them have at it.
You know, that's actually something I saw. My son sent me from YouTube out in Arizona, I think. They have a weekly series of figure 8 racing. And you listen to the interviews. I mean, yeah, it's still a danger and there's something to it. But just like anything else, you learn, timing, obviously pit road timing of that, that they said it's really not as bad as you think it would be.
Okay. It sounds wild. Okay, Reid, it's your turn to pick our next topic to discuss.
Okay.
You can pick one of the ones I have there, or if you have something else.
Ooh, if I have something else. I do have something else, but I'm curious about what Taz's in-season challenge is looking like right now.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Because I have no idea how I did this week. I don't remember.
Okay, so the in-season challenge, I think there's only 2 people in it. There's only 2 people in it right now. It's Chris and Taz. And I've got let me, let's see.
I don't remember who had which driver. If Austin won, one of them got it. If Blaney won, Or I
The
mean,
other one got it.
yeah.
I was doing
Hold
so
on.
good too.
Yeah, hold on. I got to cancel this. I've got the sheet. I'm going to pull up the image file of the grid.
Here's mine, and it's been the same from week one. It's crumpled up here if you want me to open it up, but that's how mine's
that's
been
right.
since
You
week
didn't-
one.
This is the
No.
one after Wilkesboro. Okay. Can you see it, or do I need to make that
Michael
bigger?
McDowell. Wow. Okay. Ryan Blaney versus Austin Cindric is not what I expected for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So I'm definitely out.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
out
mess.
too. I had Reddick going all the way. Even though I started out well at the beginning, I was out of it because of Tyler Reddick.
I had Larson.
Okay. So
I had Gibbs. I know I didn't submit one, but I did one. I just didn't get it in time. I had Larson and Gibbs.
Oh, you had Larson and Gibbs?
Yep.
Okay. And so now let's see. The championship is at Indianapolis. So it's Ryan Blaney against Austin Cindric. So it's an all Penske championship here. So we'll see what happens. I've got to think that it's got to be Ryan Blaney.
He's due for one of these for the Brickyard, honestly. I really do. He maybe would have, he very likely was going to win in 2024, and then those shenanigans at the end happened. But
yeah. You and I were good at the beginning, but we lost it with our championship picks, Reid. And Jamie says, I'm going to remove that. Jamie says, my pick was Blaney with 222 ISC laps led. Any idea how many ISC laps Blaney has led so far? Only a handful in North Wilkesboro. Yeah, he didn't have that. Jamie says, I had Blaney versus Cindric also.
Wow.
Well, Blaney did lead 171 laps at Echo Park. So
okay,
there's laps there for the in-season challenge if we're talking about that. I don't well, we had Sonoma, Chicagoland. He didn't lead there. And then Echo, yeah, so I would say 171. That's what he's led so far.
Okay, let me see if I can pull up the in-season challenge here from NASCAR.
That's where it's. I think there it's Gilliland versus Blaney.
Yeah.
Okay, let me
forwards
go back
across
here.
the table.
Huh? That's actually interesting out of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the in-season challenge bracket. Yeah, it's Gilliland versus Blaney for the in-season challenge. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So there you have for the NASCAR's version of this. So it was Gilliland versus Elliott and Bell versus Blaney. And then Gilliland beat Elliott. That was amazing. So he was, where did he start out with his seating?
25th.
25th. So he is the Ty Dillon of last year for this year.
Well,
yeah.
Reid mentioned this earlier. I do like the fact that there is somebody like Todd Gilliland or Ty Dillon got highlighted and had a shot at it. To me, though, last year, Ty Dillon really didn't do a whole lot. It's just his opponent each week did poorly. Gilliland has actually raced, in this case, I mean, he outraced. I know Elliott got caught a lap down. It would have been interesting, again, if that caution hadn't come out. But I feel like Gilliland at least raced against his opponent, not survived against his opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say 2025 Sonoma, last corner, Ty Dillon gives the bump and run to Alex Bowman and gets past him there. So to his credit with that.
Right.
But
well,
I agree,
that's
though.
true.
Gilliland has had to run better. And like, even though even though Chase Elliott got really unlucky there, Todd Gilliland, he was still like without that caution, he was still pretty moderately competitive. So
I think that one would have been one of those interesting to see how it played out on the track versus the, lap down. But I mean, Gilliland was solid. So.
Okay. Jamie said, did anybody pick Hamlin for the final ISC contender or winner? I felt the schedule favored Blaney overall.
No, I did it again. I didn't get it submitted, but I did one up after the submission was due. I had Hamlin versus Hocevar in the finals.
Oh, okay. So you picked, and you picked Hocevar to win it?
No, I picked Hamlin to win it at Indy.
Oh, okay. So we did have one person at least that did it. I don't really know who the other people were, but did you pick the in-season challenge, Reid, or did we just kind of intercede that?
I just did the Taz's in-season tournament. That's all I did.
Oh, okay.
I figured that's the only one I'll be paying attention to. So.
Okay. Do we want to keep going, or is there another hot topic that you want to make sure we mention, Jay?
I wanted to briefly talk about, before we get out of here, we mentioned kind of the local short track scene in regional racing, and I wanted to talk about how I feel like it's pretty good broadcasting right now, but a ton of tracks in general, like that aren't in the North Carolina East Coast area are getting left behind. So I have a list right here of some local tracks here in Texas that have underwent some changes. Lone Star Speedway in Kilgore, Texas has been inactive for 2 years. Devil's Bowl Speedway, where the first ever World of Outlaws race ran in Mesquite, Texas, is permanently closed. Buffalo Creek Speedway here in Edgewood, Texas, inactive for 2 years. Boyd Raceway went from weekly events to staggered yearly events. And the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track went from weekly events in the summer and throughout the year to more yearly events. So even though a lot of these places are getting a lot of attention in the short track and media and, dirt racing with the World of Outlaws and Cars Tour, we have to make sure that a lot of these other tracks don't fall under kind of under the rug here. I think it's important that we kind of preserve, or at least do our best to kind of preserve these places, because these are places where a lot of rural communities go to, and I feel like are very important. And it's sad that it's just kind of fading away a little, despite with all the national coverage that other places have gotten.
Jay?
Yeah, mine would be dirt tracks. I don't know which of those you named. I know you said that you had the one
They were all dirt.
The World Outlook. Oh, those are all dirt? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought a couple of those were asphalt, but a couple of them I know. And yeah, Mississippi, you got a short list. If I were to go through the Mississippi ones, the one a mile or two down from my house, Columbus Speedway, has been inactive now for 2 years. And I hear the drivers all say it's one of the best tracks around, but yeah, it's still a struggle.
Yeah, I would just say every state probably has a list of those tracks. And unfortunately, you got to have fans in the stands in order for those tracks to survive. And the cost of doing business has just gotten so much higher. It's hard for these tracks. So if you can get out to the track and support your local tracks, do it now before they're gone, because it is very frustrating. But I would love to see. Jamie Schweitzer says Nazareth is all but gone. Salt, save all local tracks. Yes.
One more track. 281 Speedway in Stephenville, Texas, 10 minutes away from Tarleton State, where I go. That closed down in 2019 in its prime, actually. And they just reconfigured and put in some new clay there at the time they did it. So that's another dirt track too. So
yeah,
yikes.
We got to save all those tracks. Nazareth is all but gone, Jamie says, barely recognizable. you know, I wish there was enough money in the world for us to bring all those tracks back.
Yeah, please, Dale Jr., save us all.
Right.
Save
I
us.
got. I don't know what's sadder. The track I grew up in Minnesota, I-94 Speedway, was dirt, and then it actually tried to jump on the asphalt bandwagon. That didn't work up there in that area. They went back to dirt, and then it became a lot for a few years. There is what was it? Can't think of the company, but Felling Trailers. It was a race trailers, not just race trailers, but trailers company, and they finally at least did put a building on it. I felt a little bit better. I'm like, because it sat as just an empty lot for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, at least you finally did do something with it after you knocked the track down and now finally put up a building. But yeah, it's still sad.
Yeah, it is very, very sad to see all these tracks barely recognizable, as Jamie says. Okay, I think we're going to call it a night, guys, unless there's something else that's burning.
No, I'm with you. I think we covered it all.
Okay.
I think Sharon can read my mind. She knows I was going to go off on the whole cost of racing, and that's what's causing all of it. So yeah, you should do the outro and keep me from spouting off.
Oh, well, do stay on board though, guys, afterwards, because I've got some things I want to mention here. Real quick, we got another comment. Have a great day. Go Joey. That's Jamie's favorite driver. So thank you for everybody for participating in the chat room. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you to All Sports All Day for sharing his experience out at North Wilkesboro this weekend. And thank you to Jay and Reid for being here. Couldn't do the show without you guys. So thanks for your input here as well. And,
no, we couldn't do it without you, Sharon.
Well, it's my pleasure. I enjoy this tremendously, and I just appreciate everybody else being involved. And I do have a few things I'm going to say as we close out here. North Wilkesboro reminded everybody of why racing roots still matter. And I think we kind of illustrated it with our desire to bring back some of these local racetracks that are no longer in operation. Grassroots racers share the spotlight with NASCAR's biggest stars this weekend. The Truck Series showcased one of its championship favorites. The Cup Series saw a former champion dominantly return to victory lane. And perhaps most importantly, North Wilkesboro proved once again that history and modern NASCAR can thrive together. If this weekend didn't make you appreciate short track racing, it's hard to find anything that will. So thanks everybody for participating in our Hot Topic Sound Off here tonight. Be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know your biggest takeaway from North Wilkesboro in the comments. And do you guys have any final comments before we leave here tonight?
I'll go with what Jamie said earlier. Salt, save all local tracks.
Excellent way to end it. I back that 100%.
Okay, thanks everybody. And we'll see you in our next video. Take care now.
Good night.